In the day's other news, the final push was on to drum up more support a day before voters cast ballots in Alabama's special Senate election. Republican candidate and former Alabama State Chief Justice Roy Moore is running neck and neck with Democrat Doug Jones, a former federal prosecutor. Moore has been accused of sexual misconduct with teenage girls while he was a district attorney in his early 30s. We'll take a closer look at the race later in the program. 3 women who have previously accused President Trump of sexual harassment spoke out again today in New York. They demanded a congressional investigation into the president, who has been accused of sexual misconduct by more than a dozen women.
They've investigated other Congress members, so I think it only stands fair that he be investigated as well. And I think also a nonpartisan investigation is very important, not just for him, but for anybody that has allegations against them. This isn't a partisan issue.
Today, the White House cited Mr. Trump's previous contentions that the claims are false. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders also said of the allegations, quote, "The American people knew this and voted for the president." Meanwhile, Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York has become the 4th U.S. senator to call for President Trump to resign amid the sexual misconduct claims. At the same time, celebrity chef Mario Batali is stepping away from his restaurant empire operations and TV show after 4 women accused him of sexual misconduct. And 2 more men in the news media are facing accusations of inappropriate behavior. The New Yorker magazine announced today that it is severing ties with political journalist Ryan Lizza over what it called improper sexual conduct. And NPR placed veteran journalist and on-point host Tom Ashbrook on leave while it investigates wrongdoing claims made against him. A fiery inferno is raging out of control northwest of Los Angeles. Nearly 6,400 firefighters from 11 different states are now battling to make headway against the so-called Thomas Fire. It has already scorched more than 230,000 acres since first igniting last week. Clouds of ash and smoke billowed from the Santa Barbara foothills today as the Thomas Fire roared unabated. Helicopters hauled and dumped water, part of the week-long struggle by firefighters to get it under control.
We've been up, I'm at 29 hours straight every other day. We're exhausted, but they're not coming off till this is done.
The fire was just 15% contained today, spreading west from Ventura to Santa Barbara County. It has enveloped the towns of Carpinteria and Montecito that sit between the Los Padres National Forest and the coastline. Thousands have been ordered to evacuate, and more have been warned they should be ready to leave if the fire moves closer. So far, nearly 800 buildings have been consumed by the Thomas Fire, an inferno fueled in tinder dry conditions and whipped up by the Santa Ana winds. It all adds up to what is now among the 5 worst fires in California history. Throughout Santa Barbara County, residents and evacuees flocked to stores to buy masks. Outside, the air was acrid and thick with smoke, underscoring the need for protection.
I don't want any damage to the lungs of my family, so to not have it would worry me. We're in Ojai, so we're at the center of, when we go back home, we'll be at the center of the smog or smoke.
Evacuation orders were lifted in most of Ventura County, where the Thomas Fire wreaked havoc before moving west.
It's probably the scariest experience I've ever had. Certainly it's the closest experience I've ever had up close and personal with fire. And we're talking fire everywhere. This whole ravine was completely ablaze.
5 other fires across Southern California have now been largely contained. Parts of San Diego were scorched by the Lilac Fire last week. Over the weekend, residents returned home or to what remained of home.
It's devastating. I'll be a widow this Tuesday for 20 years, and I lost my wedding rings and all of our wedding pictures and my wedding license and stuff I can't replace.
But back in Santa Barbara County, the Thomas Fire seems far from dying out, and the worst may be yet to come. Several school districts there said they would remain closed until the new year. Cause of the Thomas fire is still under investigation. A federal judge in Washington today ruled that the U.S. military must accept new transgender recruits beginning January 1st. The judge denied a request by the Trump administration to delay implementing an Obama-era order allowing transgender individuals to enlist. White House officials said that the Department of Justice is reviewing its legal options. In Syria, Russia's President Vladimir Putin said that his country is partially withdrawing its troops from the war-ravaged nation. Putin declared victory over the Islamic State today during a surprise visit to a Russian airbase there. He also met with Syria's President Bashar al-Assad.
The terrorist threat in the whole world is still very high. However, the task of fighting armed bandits here in Syria, a task that was essential to solve with the help of extensive use of armed forces, has for the most part been solved and solved brilliantly. I congratulate you.
Putin is the first foreign head of state to visit Syria since its civil war began in 2011. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu urged the European Union today to follow President Trump's lead in recognizing Jerusalem as his country's capital. He met with the EU's foreign policy chief, Federica Mogherini, in Brussels. Afterwards, in a joint news conference, Netanyahu praised Mr. Trump's decision and called on more nations to do the same.
I think what President Trump has done is put facts squarely on the table. Peace is based on reality. Peace is based on recognizing reality. Jerusalem is Israel's capital. No one can deny it. It doesn't obviate peace. It makes peace possible.
But Mogherini said that she made clear to Netanyahu that the European Union's view remains unchanged. After their meeting, she said all 28 member states will continue recognizing Tel Aviv as Israel's capital.
I have to say that Prime Minister Netanyahu realized, I think, from the ministers themselves that there is full EU unity on this, that the only realistic solution to the conflict between Israel and Palestine is based on two states, with Jerusalem as the capital of both the State of Israel and the State of Palestine.
Meanwhile, Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas was in Egypt today as part of an effort to rally Middle Eastern nations to reject the U.S. decision. U.S. astronauts may soon be headed back to the moon and eventually to Mars. In a ceremony at the White House today, President Trump signed a directive formally ordering NASA to lead a new space exploration program for future missions. The announcement was timed to coincide with the 45th anniversary of Apollo 17. That was the last human voyage to the moon. And stocks rose higher on Wall Street today, led by the technology and energy sectors. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained nearly 57 points to close at a record high of 24,386. The Nasdaq rose 35 points, and the S&P 500 added 8.